This is the blueprint I'm using to sign 20 clients every single month. I'm going to walk you through it step by step by step so that you can do the exact same thing for your high ticket business. Okay. So the very first step is going to be extracting the attention of your market so that they're interested in your service. Okay. Now, the way that we do this is going to be looking at intent by using AI and scraping from LinkedIn accounts. Okay. Now, how we actually do this is what we're going to do differently to everybody else is we're actually going to go inside of accounts and inside of posts that are to do with the services that we sell. So for example, if we're sending cold email services, what we would actually do is we would have AI go into the profiles that are posting about cold email and extract the people that are already liking this type of content and the people who are commenting and reposting this type of content. Now, the reason why we do it this way is because what 99% of the market is doing, which is why they're not getting results, is they're looking at their entire market, which is supposed to be represented by this circle here, and all these green dots are the small percentage of the market who are actually interested in your services, right? And what all these 99% of people doing is they're just taking all of the leads in this entire market and they're trying to message them all. But what they're not realizing is in this day and age where we have AI and we have things to be able to look at the intent of different people's profiles, we can actually pick out and snipe the 3% of people who are already interested in our services and just attack these individual points, which is exactly what we're doing here, so that all the people who were never interested in our service and in our product anyways are not even going to be outreach to, because again, we're only reaching out to the people who are already interested here. And we can do this by using things like Clay, which is an AI scraping tool. We can use things like Phantom Buster. We can even hire VAs to go and scrape these manually, which a lot of the times is the best way to do this, so that we're able to get the perfect leads again that already want to buy your services, right? And when you can do this, you get outsized returns, right? This is leverage because you're getting more for what you're putting in, right? So if you did a cold email or a cold LinkedIn or a cold Instagram DM campaign, but one campaign you're targeting every single person inside of your market, the other campaign you're only targeting people who already want your services, the one that's going to be get the most output, the most appointments, the most clients for the amount of outreaches that you send is going to be if you're able to find the people who already want your thing. Okay. Now, another thing that's going to be able to give you outsized returns is things, right, like YouTube, because what a lot of people don't know, and the reason why people have been continuing to use YouTube for years and years and years now to get clients, is because YouTube automatically uses their in-house AI system to be able to put your post or put your YouTube video in front of people who are already interested in what you do, right? So you probably clicked on this video, right, because you've looked at other videos that are similar to this and how can I get more clients for my high ticket business, right? And the reason why YouTube served you this impression and served you this video is because it's using this exact technique where it's pinpointing, right, the people who already want your thing and it's just presenting it to them, right? How crazy would it be if you got a video that was just like some random some random day at the zoo from YouTube, which maybe you got impressed, or maybe you've seen, right? Like these like random videos on YouTube, right? But it's going to serve you the videos that it thinks you're going to watch, and it's going to use that based on its data of what you've already engaged with, right? We're just doing the exact same thing on a different platform, and it's crazy to me how nobody realizes this, right? Now, in terms of my acquisition strategy, I use three main ways to get clients, right? One is an omni-channel LinkedIn outbound approach. Number two is a cold email / AI / Loom approach. And then the third one is using YouTube, right? So 41% of my clients are coming from LinkedIn, 33% of my clients are coming from email, and about 26% of my clients are coming from YouTube. And this is data taken from the past 3 months. Okay. Now I'm going to go through all these systems sequentially, and I'm going to walk you through all of these and how to actually do these, the exact steps we need to do. But the first thing is going to be our AI omni-channel LinkedIn system. Okay. Now, this is the problem with what people are trying to do when they're actually doing outreach on these types of platforms, right? So this is what there's this something called this blue ocean strategy, which was a book written like 15 years ago or whatever, right? And what people try to do, and you can look at this by like what people are searching up for on YouTube and what people are trying to find, is they think the problem is they don't have like this blue ocean market. And what that means is basically like a market that no one's tapped into, that's just like there's no one in, that they can just come in and take over the entire market, right? But the problem with that is that if there was this golden opportunity where no one was in, like like these blue ocean opportunities, they rarely ever exist, right? And a lot of the times what happens is people will try and look for these different markets to reach out in, but a lot of the times when there's nobody in a market, the reason why there's no one in a market isn't because that it's this new opportunity that you just happen to be the one to stumble across. 99% of the time it's because no one actually can run a proper business in that market, right? If you see a pond and there's no fish in it, it's probably not because it's like the next best place for the fish to live. It's probably because all the fish that would have lived there couldn't survive, right? So what you actually need to do is you need to look at an ocean, right, or a market with a lot of competition. You need to do the exact opposite, right? And you need to find someone with a lot of competition. And the reason why you want to do that is because you know this market has a lot of value inside of it. And then you just need to be the red dot inside of the blue ocean so that you stand out from everyone else, so that you don't get basically left in the dust and ignored and be replied to your email saying this is the millionth time I've heard an email like this, right? So this is what you need to be doing, right? Now, this is what most people do. And like the reason why I explain this is because most people use the psychology when they reach out to people, right? And they try and just be like everyone else, just and think they're in some unique market, right? So what most people do is they're using many lines of text in their outreach, right? They're using absolutely no personalization. They're talking a ton about their service, right? And they're asking for the call right away. This is what most people do. Now, at my company, what we do is we have no text inside of our outreach. In fact, we use voice notes, right? We're actually mentioning personal achievements of the person that we're reaching out to. So we're going to talk about a case study. We're going to have some sort of personalization, right? Whereas most people don't use any personalization. They just try and mass outreach, right? Which again, going back to this point, this is why this doesn't work and why we have to be more targeting. We talk about the problem rather than the service, okay? Now, the reason why we do this, right, is something called the reverse funnel theory, which is something that I kind of made up, but also not really, right? So basically, this part I did absolutely not make up, right? But there's this levels of awareness thing. So there's going to be 3 main levels of awareness. There's like, people talk about like a couple levels, right? But these are the main ones, right? So you have people who are unaware, people who are problem aware, and people who are solution aware or most aware, right? We could call this, actually, this is going to make more sense if I say solution aware, right? So the people who are unaware, right, that they even have a problem, these people aren't even like remotely close to buying what you have because they don't even know that they have a problem we're solving, right? It would be like if you have a cancer, but it's like so small and so benign that you have no symptoms and you can't even recognize it, you're going to have a tough time, right, getting convinced that you need to go get like surgery or something, right, without doing like a full analyzation of like where that cancer is, right? Because you're completely unaware. So we need to know that we're at least problem aware in order for them to sell a solution, right? Now, when we are problem aware, this is where we need to be reaching out, okay? Because what 99% of people are doing is they're only targeting people who are already solution aware by presenting them their solution, right? So for example, if you're in a market where the best solution to people's problems of not getting clients is, let's say, running Facebook ads, right? You're going to have people who don't even know that they're not getting enough clients. And which is going to be most of the market. You're going to have people who are not getting enough clients, but they don't know that Facebook ads is the best service to use to get more clients. And then there's going to be a small percentage of people, which everybody is targeting here, right? As you can see by this diagram, that basically already know that Facebook ads is the best solution for them, right? And this is the problem with talking about Facebook ads inside of your outreach, if again, in this example, right? Is that the people who already know that Facebook ads is the best solution, number one, is a very, very small percentage of the market, right? Like less than 1% typically. Number two is that these people are already probably searching or found someone to do their Facebook ads or get help with Facebook ads from someone else, right? So these people are actively looking for your Facebook ads. And what's going to happen here is that you're going to be compared against competitor and competitor and competitor and competitor. And when you're getting compared against other people just based on what you do, what happens is you get put into a commoditized market, right? So if, for example, you've ever tried to get clients on Upwork, you're going to notice that the people who are reaching out to you to look into your service are going to be price shopping, right? They're going to be saying, you're probably charging too much, even though you're probably charging too little. And the reason why is because they're probably talking to 20 other people on Upwork. They already know that Facebook ads or whatever your solution is the best solution for them. They're just looking for the lowest price at this point, right? So that if you want to stand out the most, right? If you want to get the highest margin, if you want to sell your service for the most amount of money and you want to get the most amount of meetings, you have to talk about the problem. So nowhere in your outreach copy should you be talking about your service. You should be talking about the problem that you're solving, right? So for me, I help agency owners and consultants get more clients. So I'm not talking about like the cold email that we help you do, or the LinkedIn that we help you do, or the multiple things that we help you do. I'm talking about helping you get more clients using a unique mechanism, right? Which I'm going to explain a little bit later, right? And this is what we're actually talking about in the voice note, right? It's basically around the lines of, hey, I saw that you helped XYZ prospect get this result in this amount of time. Super impressive. I was just wondering if you'd be open to some new ways of getting more clients. Like, no worries if not, but I figured I'd send you some strategies if you want to hear some. So just let me know if that sounds cool. I'm just kind of, this is not exactly what it is, but it's pretty close to that. My setters are the ones that send these now, but that's basically what it is, right? Nowhere in that voice note did I talk about the solution, and I kept it very short. You can see 14 seconds, and I'm not like putting many lines of text on here, right? And then the next thing that most people do is they ask for their call right away, or they like if they're interested in their service, right? Now, what the problem with this is there's something called escalation of commitment, where no one's going to like it's going to be very difficult to get someone to take action on the very first interaction that they have with you, right? And the more interactions that they have with you, the more like likely they're going to be to actually want to work with you, right? Now, we're not going to do an infinite amount of like outreach and content before you actually start booking them, right? That's why it's important to have YouTube, so you can collect on the majority of the market that does take that much warming up. But for the outbound, right, we need to have like a balance where we're not taking too long, but also like you can't just ask for the call right away, because it's very rare that someone is going to actually accept that. And if they do, then they're going to show up to the call and they're going to be completely cold and never going to buy from you, or very rarely, right? So that basically brings us down to the email side of things, which we're using to get 33% of the clients that we're getting. And on average, we're doing about 50 to 100 grand a month. Like, obviously that's a big difference, right? But it fluctuates. So in terms of the email, right, this is basically what it looks like. So, Mr. Prospect, saw you help Mr. Solar Business, right, which is obviously the Solar Business's first name, this is the Solar Business's like that they worked with, right? And Mr. Prospect's the name, right? I'm sure you can figure that one out, right? Get an extra 3 commercial projects in under 30 days. So this is the case study personalization that we can use by using something called clay.com. This also, not only does it scrape leads and find these people, right? But it also actually personalizes the outreach, which is super, super helpful. And again, it breaks the pattern of people not having personalized outreach, right? Then we're just talking about, again, super personalized here, talking marketing agency founders in Toronto, specifically to their city, right? Struggling with this problem. Again, we're talking about the problem here. We're not talking about the solution, right? And then I recently just helped, and this is my client, Donovan Tolbert. He had an extra K in 20 months, 20K in MRR in 2 months after using our intent-based client magnet system, okay? Now, the thing that we're not doing here is talking about her service, right? This is what I said I was going to give you an example of, is we're talking about his problem here of not getting consistent new clients to work with. And then the service or the solution, right, is the intent-based client magnet system, right? Which could mean a million different things, but we're just using something called a unique mechanism, right? So it's very unlikely that the person I'm emailing has heard of a intent-based client magnet system, right? But this is just this like random thing that I made up that like kind of has something to do with what we do, but we're not actually disclosing what we do, because again, these people, if I tell them, right, it's like, imagine if I said, after using our cold email system, right, he would just delete the thing because he's seen that a million times, but he hasn't seen our intent-based client magnet system, and now he's like, oh, I want to know what this thing is, right? Or most people will be like that, right? And the same thing that allowed me to get my agency to 105K in 1 month after just 12 months from scratch, right? And then, can I send you a video on how our strategy works? So again, we're not asking for the call, we're asking to send a video on how our strategy works, because again, we're going to get a larger amount of people to actually buy in here, right? And then we move on to step 3, which is the actual conversion. Now, before we jump into this, there's one important thing that we have to talk about, which is YouTube, okay? So if you own an agency, right, or if you own a coaching business and you want your business to stick around for a very, very long time, and you want to start generating appointments more passively, this is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And obviously I'm doing this for myself and it works really well. We get about a quarter of our clients from this, right? And this number, this percentage here is probably going to increase as time goes on, right? And it has increased. This used to be 10, now it's 26. And then probably if I record this in 6 months, it'll be like closer to like 40, right? So the goal when making YouTube content to try and get clients, right? And then we're going to talk about how we actually convert these people, by the way, right? But the goal that we're using here is we want to get the most watch time per impression that YouTube serves our videos, okay? Now, what does this actually mean? So a lot of people, what they will say, right, is some people will say you just want people to click, or you just want people to watch the video, right? But there's actually a couple things that's missing from that, right? You need to have number one, you need to have both. But number two, it's not about the amount of watch time percentage that you're getting. So the amount of people that so if, for example, someone watches half of your video, that's not what matters. It's about the total amount of watch time that someone watches your video for, right? So for example, YouTube, right? If you look at their incentives, what do they want, right? They want people to watch more things on YouTube. They want them to stay on the platform longer so that they can serve them more impressions. So what a lot of people say, which doesn't make any sense, is they say the length of the YouTube video actually does not matter. And it actually very much does matter, because if you have an hour-long video versus a 3-minute long video, right, the average view duration, right, is going to probably be longer on the hour-long video because there's more time that a viewer could possibly watch, right? However, right, the actual watch time percentage is very much likely going to be significantly lower, right? So if you have an hour-long video and someone watches, for example, for 5 minutes, and you have a 3-minute video and someone watches for 1.5 minutes, right? Even though the 3-minute video has a significantly higher amount of people having the watching the video for the length of the video, YouTube is going to serve more impressions, right, as long as the click-through rate is the same, to the video with a longer view duration in total, because again, you're getting them to stick on the platform for longer, right? So this is important. Now, when you're actually getting people to click, right, this is what we need to this is what you need to start off as a base. If you haven't started the YouTube channel, I highly recommend doing it this way, right? This is how I did it, and this is how we've been able to get the channel. This is not crazy, right? But we get like 1 to 2 appointments a day from it, which is okay, right? So basically, what you want to do is you want to look at what already works in your market, right? So if your market's on YouTube, which they should be, or else maybe you don't want to do YouTube, right? Is you want to look at some people who are in your market, right? You want to look at what their thumbnails look like, and you want to try and copy them, right? So if you look at my channel, right, I obviously copied this thumbnail from Alex Hormozi because it got 1.2 million views, right? I copied this thumbnail from like Charlie Morgan, William Brown, who used these whiteboards, right? I copied like this video that I'm doing right now, and this video here from Nick Setting, who does like decent with these My Report videos, right? And then once you have this, right, and once you have done this for like 20, 30, 40 videos, what you'll begin to notice is you're going to see a pattern in terms of what's working for you and what's not. And once you know what's working, there's a principle in advertising, which if you own a marketing agency, you should know this, right? It's basically called the 70-20-10, right? And Google, I think it was Google, did a study that this is the best way to allocate your ad spend is to spend 70% of your ad spend on ads that are already proven to work. You want to spend 20% of your ad spend on ads that are very, very similar, right, but slightly different to the ads that are already proven to work. And then you want to spend 10% on completely trying randomly new things. And you want to apply the same principle to your thumbnails, right? So this one, for example, this is like basically this Instagram one, this LinkedIn one, this one I'm making right now is all like the very, very similar thumbnails, right? So it kind of falls into this 70% here, right? And you want to have more things that are already proven rather than what a lot of people do is they just make a different kind of thumbnail for every single one, and they don't really continue to use what's already working, right? And if you have something that's working, you just want to use like as much as you can from that, right? Now, in terms of how we convert these people, right? Once we're getting YouTube views, and once we're getting people interested in the LinkedIn outreach, once we're getting people interested in the email, right? We need to actually convert these people. So when it comes to this LinkedIn side of things, if people are ignoring you, for example, right? If you're not like getting enough people to reply or enough people interested, what you can do is you can actually follow up with these on multiple channels, right? So what a lot of people do is they'll just like reach out to people on one channel, they'll do like one follow up and then give up, right? So what we do, if we actually get someone to be interested on LinkedIn, like they reply positively to this voice note here, what we're actually going to do is we're going to send them a a follow-up number, one follow-up on LinkedIn, right? About an hour after they say they're interested, basically saying, what did you think of the, what did you think, basically? Then if they don't respond to that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to call them a day later, and we're going to text them, right? If they don't pick up the call. And again, all of this is used to actually try and book the call, right? With this call and this text. And again, if they don't pick up, we're going to email them, right? The next day, we're going to follow up again with them on LinkedIn, right? If they don't respond to that, we'll look if we can find them on Instagram, and then we'll follow up there, right? And we do this as total of 8 times with each of these platforms combined, right? So we're going to call them like 4 times, right? We're going to Instagram them twice. We're going to LinkedIn them twice. We're going to email them and text them 4 times each as well. So that again, we're covering everywhere on the internet. So it's very, very difficult for them to ghost us. They're either going to tell us to piss off, or they're just going to book a call, right? Both cases, which I'm completely fine with, right? Because again, not everyone is going to be super happy with you reaching out to them, but that's just how the game works, right? Now, once you get people interested, what we're going to do, right, is for outreach, right, for emails and for LinkedIn, what we're going to do is we're going to send them a personalized conversion loom, okay? Now, what this loom is this is going to basically go over, again, very high level, not going into the service that you do, but it's going to be talking about the problem, talking about your risk reversal, right? So for us, if you don't get a minimum of 120 qualified meetings in 120 days for your business, we actually don't get paid, right? Like we give you a full guaranteed refund if we don't get that, right? If that sounds interesting, you can check out the link in the description, right? Shameless plug, right? But we'll help you basically build all of this inside of your own company so that you're able to get like 100 live calls every month and 20 calls like clients every month for your own business, right? Now, in terms of what's actually in here, back to the content, right? We're talking about the risk reversal, like the guarantee that we have. We're talking about the overall problem that they have, and we're talking about why they should believe us, right? So for me, obviously, like I'm going over case studies right on my website. I've been able to help Donovan get 20K in the first 2 months by helping Sebastian get $6,000 clients in his first 30 days, and also showing my calendar just because we get like 30 to 50 meetings every single month, or every single week, sorry, right? And that's just basically going to again warm them up, showing them that number one, we can actually get them the result that they want, and number two, like proving that they should believe it, right? Like the only thing someone wants to see on one of these videos is what you can do for me and why should I believe you, right? So we're talking again about the problem, about the solution they're going to be getting into, and then about the again, why they should believe us, right? So backing this up with proof, right? If you don't have any proof, you can just go harder on the actual promise and go harder on the risk reversal and the guarantee, right? Which is also going to help your perceived likelihood of achievement, which is what Alex Hormozi says, right? And then you're going to have a link at the top of the Loom video that basically just says schedule a demo. You're going to link that to your calendar, and then they're going to be able to book in from then, right? YouTube, very similar, except it's not going to be personalized, obviously, because you can't really make a personalized funnel. But you're going to have people go to this video, right? That's going to explain how your service works, right? Again, like not necessarily how your service works, but like how the solution works and how the problem is solved, right? And again, we don't want to talk about our service, right? But this is going to basically give them some context in terms of like what they're going to be able to achieve at the end of this, right? If you want to see this video, right, I'm going to like plug myself again. This video is also in the description, right? And this is the inbound VSL. Okay, if you don't want to be sold anything, then don't click this, right? Now, step 4 is the actual funnel. Okay, so this, once we have people applying into the calendar here or into the calendar here, right? This is going to account for our appointments booked, but we actually have to get them, number 1, to show up, and number 2, we need to indoctrinate them into our process and to believing that this is actually going to work, right? Because they can book these calls, and what I used to have is I never had any of this, like post-call sequence. And what would happen is these people would jump on the calls and they're not even going to open up. They're going to be like, hey, just tell me what you do right away. They're not going to like let you talk about anything else, and they're going to be super, super cold and very, very difficult to close. When I added this, my close rate nearly doubled. So I'm going to show you what all this is, because this is very, very good for taking people from someone who has no idea who you are, obviously other than these YouTube people, right? But someone who has no idea who you are, right, coming from email or LinkedIn or whatever, all the way to someone who actually knows, likes, and trusts you from watching these sequences, right? So the first thing that we do, right, as soon as someone books a call, we actually have a Zap, right, that's going to send them an invite to our school community, right? And what's inside of the school community is basically me posting wins up here, me posting YouTube videos, again, to send people back to watch the proof and to watch the value so that they feel they know I can help them. Occasionally I post like job Instagram posts in here as well. And also there's a ton of content. Like my best YouTube videos are all like put into a playlist inside of school so that these people can just go through this, and then they're going to, like, again, you want to give them the value, you want to force feed them the value so that when they get onto the call, they actually believe that you can help them, right? The next thing that we do is we also send an automation that sends them I call it a confidence email. And what this basically does is this is going to send them basically like put this on your Google Calendar, right? And then the most important thing here is you need to have a super valuable before our strategy session video. Okay. Now, what this is basically me running through all of the problems after taking over 1,000 sales calls that I've seen most people having inside of the marketing industry or inside of the consulting industry, and basically breaking down every single thing that they've probably tried and why that hasn't worked, and why what we're doing is actually going to be different, right? And this video is so valuable. It's like 20 minutes long, and it basically just breaks down every single reason why someone might not be getting appointments and how we're actually going to fix all of those without explaining the details of the system, right? Which primes them for the call. It's like, okay, I genuinely believe that this guy can actually solve my problem because they've taken the value from this video. They've been inside of the school community. And on top of that, right, I've also this video is going to be helpful to them alone. But now the only thing that they need is they're like, okay, well now I need your help to do all of this, right? Which is exactly what we walk them through on the call, and give them a full breakdown of like their company specifically, what their problems are, and how like the specific system we're going to use to actually help them solve that, right? And then on top of that, right, what I've been building up recently is I'm trying to build up my brand, right? So a lot of the times what will happen, and I had this recently, is a guy that I DM'd on like Outreach, right, or my setter DM'd him, right? He actually already knew me, right? Because he actually saw me on Charlie Morgan's video because I was at his mastermind. You can see that's me right there. And a bunch of other cool guys, right? Doing a lot of money every month, right? So like I have my Dubai pictures, right? I have my YouTube channel that's obviously like decent. I have videos with like thousands and thousands. Like this is not like super impressive, right? But people will see me, right? And then when they get onto the call, they're like, oh, I already like recognize this person, right? And when you have that, like when you have the power of like someone coming to the call and they're like, oh, I saw you from this other place, right? As long as you obviously had a good impression, right? Then you're putting yourself in a good spot. You're putting yourself in a good position of like this person already has some idea of who you are, which is going to make it significantly easier to close them, right? So I had a guy like I said that our setter DM'd. He already knew who I was. He booked a call, got on a call with me, and he closed because again he already knew me. And he's like, you know what? Like I've talked to a bunch of people. Most of them seem like they're just full of a bunch of crap. But I've seen you before. I somewhat feel like I know you, so I'm going to trust you, right? And again, when you have like a brand, right, to some extent, again, like this, we're not even like, we're just getting started here, right? But when you have something that you can show people before the call, like so that they can kind of get to know you, it's going to significantly increase your close rate. So I would highly recommend, again, doing this YouTube thing alongside your outreach. When you have both of them going at the same time, they both kind of like feed into each other, right? So I get clients through outbound, right? I get experience from it. I get testimonials from it, right? I get people results from it. I make money from it. And then that feeds back into the brand. So now I can come here and I can show you guys, right? Like the people that we've helped from outbound, right? Like people like Doran, right? Who's able to get 2 meetings every single day in just under a month. And I'm also able to kind of like learn what he was like, what we did together, right? Like by testing with all of these different clients, and by doing the outreach for over like 80 clients, right? And by being able to help alongside that whole process for everyone, right? I have now like every single client that I get, like I become better, because I learn more, right? In terms of like what's going to work the best for every industry. Like I've worked with over 50 different niches at this point. So I'm now building up more experience into like how different patterns apply to all these different niches. So, and that's going to feed into me making better YouTube videos, and me making better YouTube videos, right, is going to make the channel grow, which is going to make me reaching out to more people, more likely that they've already seen me, which is going to improve the numbers on here, right? So everything is like this flywheel that all feeds into each other, right? Now, once they see the school, once they see this valuable email, once they check out my brand, which I I linked my testimonials inside of this video as well. Then they go watch all these testimonial videos, right, of all the people that we've helped. Again, there's a ton more on our website if you want to check that out, and on our link in the description, right? But yeah, like we have a lot of testimonials of people that have gotten amazing results, and then they're like basically just like in my world now, just looking at all this content that I want them to see. And then I also, on top of that, we have about an 80% show up rate as it stands right now. And this is basically our sequence that you can copy if you want to have better show up rates, right? But it's basically looking like this, like, hey, Kimberly, it's Josh reaching out. Were you able to watch the Loom video, right, that we sent through our email? So we're just basically bumping this back up because, again, we really want them to see this before our call because it's going to increase the likelihood that they close, right? And also, it's going to increase the likelihood that they show up because we give them a ton of value here, so they're going to want to, like, reciprocate, right, by actually showing up to the call, right? And then she's going to say, right, they actually respond to this, and we actually have a conversation here. So it's not like this Calendly, like we use Go High Level to do this, but it's not like Calendly, right, where it's just being a message being sent like, hey, your time is booked for this time, right? But this is actually a conversation. We're able to build up some of that like trust before the call, even just having a small conversation here, right? No worries, you got our Zoom link for tomorrow, right? And this goes send out like 18 hours before, and then they say yes, right? And then this gets sent automatically like 14 minutes before the call or something, like, hey, just finished my meeting and getting some water. So every client and every prospect thinks I'm getting water before the call, right? That's not the important thing, right? But it just makes it sound more human. And then like, cool, yep, just send the Zoom link to my phone, right? And then this is what's getting us 100 live calls every single month and 20 clients every single month by